Welcome back to another e-bike review. I'm Chris, and this here is a new brand for me, Fafrees. It is the F20 Max foldable 20-inch fat-wheeled e-bike that does have a large battery, very large, a bit more than usual. It's 22.5 amp hours. And the great news about this particular battery is that it does have Samsung cells within it. So that's great for longevity and also the range. So I'm able to get well over 100 kilometers that I've worked out with this bike here. Even though it does have a 500 watt motor that can take us up to speeds of 25 kilometers per hour. I've currently got it locked so I comply with the laws here. And it's got, as you can see, a seat on the back of it. So if you have small children, well, they can ride behind you. There are some foot pedals, and it folds in half, so it'll be easy enough to fit into a trunk of a car, boot of a car. The brakes on it, well, they're 160 millimeter mechanical disc brakes, and we do have a front shock with this model here from Fafrees. So it does come really well packaged up. You can see that our seat is here, and I do have the handlebars right here that I will need to install and then put the pedals on it. And it comes folded up, so really well padded and protected. They do also include this little gift pack. You can see they call it a gift box. And what we get is an inner tube, 2 fuses, different styles of them, so different rating, spare brake pads, and 2 caps for the valves. And right here is a keyring and some side reflectors. So I got a few things to run through with the bike. We've got our twist throttle, seen a lot of this. It's very generic, this style of throttle. It works all right, does the job. Brake levers, being mechanical here, don't feel as good as hydraulic. The selector there for our 7 gears, which is Shimano's Dior. And they're not lock grips either that they do have here. So they tend to move about a little bit, but they're not too bad. Now we have a basket at the front here, or like a bike rack. There is a little security latch there that you can see, so you need to flick this up and then pull it out. I'll show you the bike, what it looks like unfolded shortly. And it feels very good. They've put some reinforcing around that. The paint job is good, looks good. The welds as well are excellent. Chainring at the front is 52 teeth. And we do have foldable pedals, which I'm not a fan of. So if you push these in, you can then pull them up or down, as you can see now. But because of this design, I don't have a lot of confidence in them. I would rather have a non-foldable pedal, and I'll probably swap these out if I was going to hang on to this bike. So we've got footrests there and the seat at the back. You can carry a passenger on the back. So this is great if you've got small children. I had my 6-year-old on the back with this, and she did enjoy riding along, hanging on. And our seat. So this seat here, plenty of padding, but it does even have a shock in it, the seat post. So that gives us a little bit of cushioning there with the bumps and the rides. Very large battery, 22.5 amp hours, Samsung battery cells. Charge time is long, okay? 11 hours to charge that. And in order to slot it out, you do have to lift up the seat, but there is a little release here. The front headlight, so this has 2 focal lenses in it, and I've seen this model before. There's a reflector just below it. It's bright enough. It does light the path up ahead of me, and it's fine. I've got no issues with it. So with our controls here, we've got our up and down pedal assist levels. There are 3 in total. Here is our power on. On the side, we have the headlight and to go through the different modes. With the screen, which you can see even in direct sunlight, is nice and clear. Our battery gauge here, the speed, trip, and odometer. So it just gives you that basic information that you really do need. And it will show there the pedal assist level on the screen. And again, that's our Shimano selector. Very entry level, but it does do the job, and I've had no problems with the shifts and the alignment of the derailleur. The bike is using a speed sensor, which is located right here, so not a torque sensor sadly, and it just gives you that on and off power when it detects that you are pedaling. Sometimes it can be slow to cut out too when you stop pedaling. It can take up to a second. That handlebar collapses down to one side like so. It makes the bike a lot shorter, and this is great for stowing it away. And then fold it up completely, you can see it's half the size now. What is the F20 Max like to ride? Well, the first thing you notice is the weight of the bike. So 31 kilos, it's not exactly a lightweight bike, and you feel that with it. And it is comfortable to get on because it's a step-through design. So you can either put your leg right through or the other way around to get on it. And pedaling, you've got the throttle, so I can pull on that straight away and get up to 25 kilometers per hour. or start pedaling. Now, because it uses a speed sensor, and I've just come off from reviewing now quite a lot of bikes with torque sensors, I noticed that big difference. It gives you a bit of a jolt. The power delivery is just on or off. That's really how it is. There's no in between, and you feel that sometimes as it just sort of lurches ahead a little bit, and it can be a little slow to cut the power. Like, I stopped pedaling then, and it took, I would say, half a second to a second just to stop giving me that power. Now you can hear the motor, our 48 volt motor, 500 watts, plenty of power. I'll get onto the climbing test soon. And riding along right now, plenty of room for my knees. They're not going to strike the handlebars. It is a comfortable upright position. In fact, the handlebar height, you can really raise it up very high for tall people and get it, well, way up here. And that would seem a little odd, almost like those Harleys that have the really high handlebars. So your riding position is very upright, your back's not bent over, it is comfortable. And then the seat post, it takes a while to get used to. It bobs up and down because it does have a shock within it, giving you, well, a bit more of a comfortable ride, a nice big cushion seat as well. Now these spongy 4-inch wide fat tires, I'm not even going to bother to lift up the front wheel, let the shock and the tires do the work. And going over bumps like that, not a problem at all. Dropping down curbs and things isn't an issue because they soak up all of those bumps. So I have a bit of rough ground ahead, and this is where the fat tires are really good. So all of these bumpy rocks, although it's quite compacted along here, still a bit of loose stuff about. Very comfortable riding along with the fat tires, just soaking all of this up. And they give you some decent grip as well with their knobbly tread pattern. Now for my climb test, so I will stop pedaling and just use the throttle and see if I can make it up this 20-degree climb. Remember, we've got 500 watts with this 48 volt system, powerful motor. It's doing this at approximately 18 kilometers, speed's dropping down a little because it gets a bit steeper here. I will then stop that and start pedaling myself, and I can even gain kilometers here. Now 2021, so it climbs like an absolute champ here. I'm used to the 250 watt motors, which are a little slower. You've got to put a bit more effort in, but right now I'd say that I'm putting in only about 30% effort. The motor is doing the rest of the work for me, so it's great at climbing the F20 Max. But you guessed it, there had to be something that wasn't so great with this bike, and that's the brakes. They're mechanical cable pull 160 millimeter, and they really aren't that good coming from some others. So I'll brake here at 30 kilometers per hour. You can't even lock up the rear wheel. They're that pathetic, really, the rear brake. However, it made it to the post, which is about average. So not before the other bikes, and not the worst I've seen in terms of braking. However, the pads are just lacking bite. They really don't brake as good as I would hope, and they squeal and squeak as you can hear, but I can still stop safely. That's the main thing. The braking distance is not bad at all. It could be better, and I think at this price point, over 1,000 euros, over 1,000 US dollars, it should have hydraulic disc brakes, not mechanical pull brakes, and they would give us a lot more braking pressure and just improved braking performance. So if there's one thing I would upgrade straight away, that would be the brakes. I would definitely upgrade those. Now in pedal assist level 3, you feel it when it cuts out at that 25 kilometers per hour, which this is limited to by law. Once I go over that, it does get difficult unless you're going to drive, or should I say ride, down a bit of a slope now at the moment, and then I can pick up some speed, but really top speed's about 29, 30 kilometers per hour, pedaling that is. Over that, it is very difficult, but right now I'm doing 32, around 30 kilometers per hour down on the coast here, and it's a smooth, comfortable ride as I get to the end of Las Rodas here in Denia, Mediterranean coast of Spain. So then onto the range, which is very good, and I think part of that is to do with not only just the capacity of the battery, which is 22.5 amp hours, but because they've gone with brand cells. So if you were to compare some generic Chinese battery cells versus South Korean Samsung cells, which this has, you're going to get more range out of the same kind of capacity, and the capacity is generally better too, and they've got that peace of mind knowing that they should be very safe, being from Samsung. And as a result, well, the range really good. It's over 20 kilometers per battery bar, so you're looking at a range of over 100 kilometers out of this e-bike, which is great considering it is only, well, the 20-inch fat wheels that it does have. Range normally isn't so good, but bear in mind a couple of things here. That is that I've been locked down to 25 kilometers per hour. So if you're going to be riding this with an unlocked speed, you will be consuming a lot more energy and you won't get that kind of range to start with either. So the seat on the back is something that some people may go for, especially if you've got younger children like myself and you want someone to ride behind you, one of them just to hold on to you, put their feet either side. Then you got that option. You could also remove this and use that then as a rear bike rack, just already part of the bike's frame. Now, speaking of the frame, the welds and the reinforcing around where the folders are very good. I love this red paint finish. It's nice, it's glossy, and those welds do look good. There's no flex where the folds are in both the handlebar and the frame. You never want to have that, of course. Front shock doesn't make any clunking noises like some of the other models that I've covered do, and the lights aren't too bad. The downsides to it are very obvious. The weight. So it's a heavy bike. This is 31 kilos, which for a foldable does make it a little difficult to lift it up, get it into the trunk or boot of a car because of that, and to take it upstairs or anything. You really don't want to be doing that with this kind of weight at 31 kilos. Priced around 1,200, 1,300 euros. I don't think that's bad, but for that price, you should definitely have hydraulic disc brakes. This is the area I feel is a little disappointing. With this kind of price, they should be hydraulic and maybe even 180 millimeter just to improve that braking performance considering the weight of the bike, and if unlocked, can get up to speeds of over 40 kilometers per hour. So there are definitely an area that I would upgrade is those brakes. Disappointing braking performance. Although I wouldn't classify it as dangerous or anything, it does brake fine. It just should be better. So that is really it. This is the Fafrees F20 Max. Thank you so much for watching this review.